Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan radio era baru. Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.
Hey, and now you're listening Green Radio Line with me, Livia Collins, in BUMI Kita program. So today we have the exclusive interview with Denia Isetianti as a founder of Cleanomic. And then today we will talking about a commitment to sustainable lifestyles. And yeah, but first I really want to say thank you so much for your time. And then I swear I'm sure that we can learn a lot of things from you today. Thank you so much, Kak Denia.
You're welcome, Livia. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so maybe the first I really want to ask you, like, how are you there? Like, we are know that we are in the middle of pandemic. Is that really impact to your life?
Yeah, for sure. Well, basically, thank you for asking. We are based in Jakarta, and we've been working from home since the third week of March last year. So it's almost a year. But I think we've been very grateful to be able to, basically do our work at home, and it's been a life-changing experience, as like pretty much everyone would think and feel the same, I believe. But we're grateful that all of my families are happy and healthy so far. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, our interview today will be aired in Bumi Kita or our Earth program in Green Radio Line that people can watch through our YouTube channel in Green Radio Line and also our website radio in www.greenradioline.id. So yeah, maybe before we continue to our interview, I really want to know about your name or your current living and the activity lately.
Mm-hmm. So my name is Denia Isetianti. You can call me Denia. Basically, I am a founder and CEO of Cleanomic. Cleanomic is a short for Clean Economy. It's a social media platform that basically talks a lot about sustainable lifestyles and sustainable businesses. So the aim is that we want to support green economy in Indonesia, and by doing that, we want to encourage people to live more sustainably, and as well as support these people who have the business that also support the environment. So hopefully, because we do believe that economy will always be part of our life, and we want to ensure that everyone can do economy activities as well as living comfortable lifestyle sustainably, as well for the next generations as well. So I started Cleanomic in 2018, basically, and it was unexpected because Cleanomic was and has always been my side hustle, because I still have a day job. I'm actually working as a lawyer. I've been working as a lawyer, corporate lawyer, for the last 12 years now. Most of days I would busy working on transactions, merger and acquisitions, financing, capital market stuff like IPOs, like corporate lawyer stuff. And Cleanomic was something like a platform that I created just to initially just documenting my personal journey about living more sustainably, because as a working mom, I used to I pretty much shop everything online, right? Because I'm busy at office and everything, so I do most of my shopping online. And one day I realized that after I shop here and there in a few different online shops, I realized that there's so many packaging comes to my house because of that shopping. And it makes me nervous because, so many plastic, so many tapes, so many bubble wraps and everything. And not long after that, I saw this viral videos about this British diver that was diving in Bali. And that was like a pretty viral videos in 2018. And in that video, it says that basically Indonesia is the second largest plastic producers in the world, and that whole thing really makes me nervous. And because I kind of think that if in 10 or 20 years, when my kids are around my age now, and then is this the kind of life that they're going to be living in? So I thought that I need to do something. So I started Cleanomic basically to document that whole journey, learning something more. But then it turns out to be e-commerce e-commerce type of business once in the first 2 years of our business, but then like we shut down our shops and then we focus now on content media based company, because we do believe that education is actually really really important, and people really need to understand why this issue is important and really relevant for us. And then we really want to showcase a lot of different aspects about sustainable lifestyles, because it turns out that when you talk about sustainable lifestyles and clean economy generally, it's not just about sorting out your waste at home, for example, like zero waste. Yes, that's like a very fundamental things that you need to understand, and composting is also like something that also very basic. But that beyond that, there's so many aspect that we can actually talk about, like from green technology, green investment, green financing, even like space junk. Like that's one of the content that I created recently, and that's why like we really want to more focus on content creations and then educations in our business plan now for Cleanomic. So
Okay, great, amazing. So, when I look at the Cleanomic itself, there is a tagline that's talking about the hidup lestari or cuan lestari. What exactly that influenced you to make those kind of taglines?
because I think I always talk to my audience, and then the people that want to I open an opportunity for everyone who wants to write for Cleanomic, right? So we have a pool of volunteers to help us create contents, and if you want to write something or share something in our platform, we are pretty much so welcome for that. And then what I usually tell them for people who are interested to create content for Cleanomic, we basically have like three main pillars in creating our content as values. One is that we want to explain people like why this issue is important, how it actually affects your life. And then the third one is that what can you actually do. You have to give like a call to actions, informations that we can provide to people. So hidup lestari and cuan lestari is basically the two main topics that we've talked in Cleanomic, because to describe, like, that's the whole overall embedded theme and discussions that we talk in Cleanomic as a content media companies. And hidup lestari and cuan lestari is basically the kind of living that we want to be close to the environment, taking care of the environment, because we basically part of the environment. So that's the whole idea.
So yeah, I've been reading some. I've been looking at the social media of Cleanomic and also the website, and you discuss or you informs a lot of topics about the green lifestyles, about everything. And is it really hard? And how do you make some research to make the even like make some topics to be talked, and also the articles that you want to read? How you doing that exactly?
So basically, I would browse out from the internet. So one of the habit that I've always do, like since long time ago, is like always start my days by looking at headlines in newspapers. So I have a Google News app on my iPhone, and then I would scroll down like informations that I think relevant, and especially for the environmental sections and sustainable lifestyles and economy, basically. And those things are also relevant for my line of work as a lawyer, because as a commercial and transactional lawyer, I also have to keep updated about things that happen around in the world, like commercially, Indonesians, and like overall investment, all that kind of stuff that are also relevant to my line of work. So it's just a habit that I've been developing since I was young, and starting my practices as lawyer, basically. So, and I think I would get those idea from that information. And it turns out that because if you only look for it, there are actually a lot of things that can be discussed and very important to raise as a content, or making it as a content. Because I believe that and this is something that I've always told my audience as well, is that content is king, right? Like sometimes when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you would consume before you actually eat or drink anything, probably content, right? Like when you open up your eyes, probably the first thing that you see is your Instagram or TikTok, whatever.
Yes.
So content is actually a huge part of our lives and probably our main one of the huge things that we consume on a daily basis. So consuming content and picking the right content to consume is also like really important, because we only have 24 hours a day. We also have lives. We have to work, we have to study, we have to take care of family, and then the amount of hours or time that you actually choose to consume is really important, because I always said that, and it's in bahasa ya, kayak kalau kamu nggak tahu, kamu nggak peduli. Kalau kamu nggak peduli, kamu nggak akan berubah. So if you don't know, you won't care, and if you don't care, you won't change. So to get there, you need to know first, and then one of the easiest way to know is by consuming this content. So that's why, like, I really want to come up with some topics, like interesting enough, and basically most topic is something that I would summarize from article or journal that I've read on the internet, basically, because I'm not an expert as well. And those informations would basically something that like a summary of something that I've also learned, and then I just get to share that in our platform.
Oh, cool. And yeah, I found that the content of Cleanomic is really, like interested to be, like I really curious also about that. And then when I look at the Cleanomic, oh yeah, this is something that I really curious about. And then you talk about that. That's amazing, really. I really want to say that.
Yeah, because that's the whole idea. The idea is that we want to give you like a snippet of informations and topic or issues even that enough to hopefully trigger people to learn more about it, and then do their own further research, and then after that take actions.
Yep. Cool. So I found that the logos of Cleanomic is kind of unique, and I really curious about the specific reason why you are creating that.
I think I've discussed this logo before, but I'm sure it's probably not the easiest way to guess. But a Cleanomic logo is actually an anagram of the name Cleanomic itself. So if you see that C, so it's C, and then you see the straight line is the L, and then you have the 3, which is the E, and then you have the round, and then you can combine that with the straight line, that will be the A, and then you also have this thing as N, and then you have the O in the middle, and then the E also serve as M, and then E, and then C. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little puzzle that I created. I made that myself, so I'm not like a logo or a designer expert when I first started Cleanomic, but yeah, it was just like out of fun way to doing it. I mean, like, yeah, by all means, I did got a lot of advice from people in the past, like, you should change your logo. Like, what does that mean? Doesn't really mean anything. It's like, yeah, I mean, I was not an expert. I wasn't even think when I made that logo. And I'm not a designer. I'm not like a visual designer whatsoever. I don't have any background for that. So I wasn't really thinking much. But that was the idea. Cleanomic logo is basically the anagram of the name Cleanomic itself.
So I think there is like the hidden meaning of the logo itself. But okay, and then I get that answer. So when the Cleanomic established, when is that the Cleanomic established? You already mentioned it's about 2018, and where the first time you made that?
So yeah, Cleanomic started in March 2018. So we're getting to our is this the fourth year? The third year. Yeah. Lost track of time. Yeah, so we started Cleanomic in March 2018. So it was basically just like an Instagram page, a blog, and a podcast, basically. And then we just take it from there. And one day, I think when I first started, that there's not much people actually, or there's not much account, at least not as many as there are now, that actually talks about this kind of lifestyles and this particular topic.
Yep.
And then we also start selling stuff as well, like tumblers, reusable bags and everything, simply because I think it will make people easier to actually relate and implemented the stuff that we actually talk about. So at the beginning of the time, Cleanomic talks a lot about the zero waste lifestyles, right? Like using reusable, refuse, single-use products, and then compost, whatever. So I think we selling stuff like tumblers, reusable bags, and everything, just to make everything easier for people. Like when they came to our platform and then they got this idea of using reusable stuff, like where do I find them? And then boom, you got there already in our platform, and then you can just simply buy those, like a one-stop shop platform thing in our website. So that was like how we actually started.
Cool, amazing. So, yeah, can you tell about when I like explore the Cleanomic Instagram stories, I found that municipal house that you made as your home and also as the office. Can you tell a little bit more about that? How hard is that to build those kind of house and everything about that place?
Yeah, so mini responsible house is the house that we're currently living in. It's a very small house, hence we call it mini, and it's a responsible house. That's why we call it mini responsible house. It's responsible because we have a few like eco-friendly features in our house, and then we designed this house in a way that it really can help us to reduce our carbon footprints and our environmental impacts. And it's been really fun to design this. So we work with our architect called Arsitektur with Mas Kibo. So we initially had this idea since almost like a year and a half ago. We want to have like we want to renovate our house and then create like a separate housing building. And like a separate building from our current house, and the total space for this is only like 4.5 meters, the length, and then the length is 11 meters, and then the width is 4.5 meters. So it's 4.5 times 11. That's like the total space for the land. And for the house itself is 4.5 meters and 8 meters. So it's very small, and then it has 3 level, and it has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Whoa.
And we have, for the eco-friendly feature, is that we have solar panels. We have gray water recycling system. So all of the water that we use for flushing the toilet in this house is actually using recycled waters. So all of the waters that we use for kitchen sink and for showering, after those water gets collected again and then filtered and then reused as water to flush our toilets. And then all of the stuff that all of the furnitures that we have in this house is actually made from recycled woods. And then all the other furnitures, like these office desk or like all of like simple stuff like for TV cabinets, everything, those like from stuff that we've already owned. So we don't actually buy new furnitures. And then we also have like a separate, like our garage is also served as a water. What is it, like sumur resapan? What is sumur resapan in English? Yeah, like they can serve as the water absorbent area.
Yep.
So and the way we made this, the way we designed this house is actually the ceiling is quite low, so it's only like 2.1 from the floor to the ceiling. So it's very low, low ceiling, but that's not without reason. The reason that we actually designed it in such a way is first to cut costs, so we're really saving monies and stuff that we use to build this house, because it's actually a lot smaller than the usual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also actually saving electricity, because when we use aircon, for examples,
Yep.
we don't need like a very high like pk for the aircon. So we can only have, we can use like a lower grade of aircons, and then it's already cold, because the room is actually more compact than usual. So and these houses actually designed to really help us minimize our electricity bills. Like we have so many large windows that we would use when we don't have, like during daytime we probably don't need to use air cons up to like certain hours in the day,
Yep.
because we just open up all of these windows. And
Mm-hmm.
then like if you look at the wall behind me, this is like, it's not painted,
Yep.
because that's like, first of all, it saved money as well, and
Uh-huh.
it saved us some of this stuff for it saved money for the paints. We don't use paint, but also it's like part of the overall aesthetic of the design. So yeah, we have like these eco-friendly features that basically help us to live more sustainably
Okay,
and
amazing.
save money.
Yeah. So when I look at the house, I'm thinking that, oh, you must be save a lot of money. I mean, like you must be prepare a lot of money to make those kind of sustainable houses. And that is that right? Because many people, I think, would like to make also the house just like you. And can you tell a little bit about do you need a lot of money to just build the house that you live right now?
Well, first of all, when you have a project to buy a house
Yep.
or renovate a house or build a house, you would need money, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that's like the very fundamental things.
Yep.
But to actually build the house that with this type of aesthetic and concept, the total cost for making this type of house is actually less expensive than the normal one, because so our architect, the spa architecture,
Yep.
they have this concept called redo house. So redo house.
House.
So redo house means like the way they build houses, they implement this minimalism principle in architecture, which basically will reduce the amount of cost by almost 40%. So uh, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And mini responsible house, or our house, is basically a combinations of the redo house concept that are the signature of our architect, and then we added with these eco-friendly features that we specifically ask our team to build it for us.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's basically just, if you're looking at the concept of read your house that was um, uh, brought by our architect,
Mm.
the total amount of cost would generally is 40% less than the normal one, because like I said, that we have like a very compact
Yep.
ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
We use like used stuff, like recycle stuff. So, and then these wall are not painted, like those are the stuff that we use to actually implement it to making it like cost efficient house.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we do have solar panel, which can be very expensive,
Yep.
but I think for me the whole key of building a house or having this type of project is planning.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we've planned for quite some time. So it's not something like out of the blue, like let's go build a house tomorrow. And like it's nothing like that. It takes a lot of preparations. It takes a lot of planning, including financial planning.
Yep.
So it's basically planning and preparations. It's the key.
So cool. And also, I also sees that it's really easy to remove some things if your kids are drawing in the wall and you can just wipe it with only a soap. Is that right?
Yeah, so yeah, that's like one of the thing about having this exposed wall like this, because it's not perfect, like it never meant to be a perfect bleach white
Yeah.
uh plain blank wall. I mean, these have textures, the colors are not similar to like one section to the other. And
Yep.
yeah, that's what I said, it's perfect for being imperfect, because
Mm-hmm.
like my kids, when they draw and then I wipe it up,
Yep.
it does remove some of the coloring on the wall, but you could still see like some of the shade a little bit, but it wasn't really that noticeable,
Yep.
because the overall wall is not perfect in the first place. So I think that what makes it for me very appealing, because in a way it's also low maintenance,
Uh-huh.
and you don't really feel to worry about those stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool, by the way. And yeah, so we're talking about your background as a law firm, and then now you work as a corporate lawyer. But what is exactly the first thing that made you interested in a sustainable living and others environment issues?
I think I've always been interested in environment, but I wasn't really thinking too much about it. My interest to the environment only to the extent that yeah, we shouldn't like litter, and we do have these. I take notes to some news about forest fire in Indonesia, whatever. But then like sometimes it can feel very foreign and very far away, because it doesn't happen in my backyard, so it's not my problem. There's always that kind of mentality sometimes, and then life gets in the way, like you're busy with your job, with
Yeah.
your family and everything. But then like when I saw that viral video, it just hits me, like especially me having my kids. As a mom, you would generally be concerned about what happens in the future. Will your kids be okay, and what you can actually do to in your power now to make sure that they're fine in the future. So I think my kids probably the biggest trigger for me to care more about the environment, because I'm legitimately worried for their futures. Like if you google like climate anxiety, um, you will find this article about what exactly means, and that's probably what I'm having before, and then that's like my biggest motivations in creating Cleanomic, because I feel like it's one thing to actually learn about this whole thing and then feeling hopeless, like, oh, what can we actually do about it? Like it seems like one person won't change anything. But then like I'm always be the person that if you see some problem, you need to do something. At least you need to do something. And it turns out after I keep trying to find out more and then learn more, there's actually a lot of things that we can do, like even like the smallest thing, like following a social media account, and just to like nourish your souls and mind to be more mindful about these informations, about these facts, about these issues. That's already meant something. And yeah, so there's actually a lot of things that we can do for the environment and help to address this issue.
Yep. Sometimes I do a little bit crying when you just talk about that previously. I really, like angry about when we want to give the awareness to people, and people seems like this is not a big deal. They just happen naturally, and you're talking about the forest fires, or if we're talking about the flooding and etc. It's naturally happen, and the angry feelings, like we need to change. Like I don't know. Yeah, it just happened. Okay, I need to be calm down, and then yeah. And yeah, before we're going to the main topic, I'm really curious about what is the definitions of the sustainable lifestyles from your perspective as the one who lives with that things. Mm-hmm.
I think sustainable lifestyle means that you basically just mindful and not taking anything for granted. Um, be mindful that everything that you consume, you're using on daily basis, things that you buy, all of those things have environmental impacts. And there's always a cost for everything. And even if that you're buying something very cheap,
Yep.
there's always a cost for everything. So if you buy something cheap, you may not have to bear the consequences for that product financially, but there will be some other consequences in different parts of the world that affect other people or the environment itself. So yeah, externality. So yeah, just basically sustainable living is just basic is being mindful of our lives, what we consume, what we use on daily basis, and not taking it for granted, and actively conscious about things that we can do to improve that and reduce that environmental impacts in any way we can.
Cool. So, how exactly the to live the sustainable lifestyles? Like, is it that hard? Many people were thinking, oh, it's hard. It will make me difficult to do my own life. And then, do you find any obstacles when you are living with this kind of lifestyles?
I think for me, the biggest impediment and the biggest hardship that I would consider um, hard to live the sustainable lifestyle is actually to influence other. Yeah, like because in this house, in this household, in my household, I don't live by myself. I have my husband, I have my kids, I have my helpers, I have my parents, and those people are the people that I cannot like easily influence to do what I want, right? And they have their own thought, they have their own minds, they have their own mindset and way of thinking. And I think the difficult part is convincing others. But when I think about it, I'd like to focus on myself first.
Yeah.
So I would just focus on myself and on my personal level, on the things that I can do. And you can always start small. I mean, you don't have to like build a sustainable or build a mini responsible house to live a sustainable lifestyle. I mean, that's not the idea, and that's something. It's not a message that I want to say to people. Like, you know, to live a to live a sustainable lifestyle, you have to live in a house like I have here. I mean, no, that's not. You don't have to. You can make changes, small changes in your day-to-day life, and you can start by caring more about these issues. Even, you know, start following, subscribing to Instagram account or content creator that actually talks a lot about these issues, which there's actually a lot of them these days. You can actually start from there and educate yourself constantly and continually. You can start from there. And secondly, then you can, once you have the knowledge, you have the idea on, you know, what are the issue, what you can actually do about it. You start looking around you what you can actually do on your personal level. You can start by reducing or buying tumblers, or not buying tumblers, like bringing tumblers everywhere you go, for example. Or you can start separating waste at home. You can learn to compost. You can, you know, follow this workshop about gardening, something like that. I mean, there's actually, or you can actually donate your money to purchase trees or corals or mangroves from organizations like Carbon Ethics or, you know, We Care or Jijakin. You know, there's actually plenty of them now these days. So I mean, you can really start from small steps and then gradually improve that in the future.
How to keep the personal commitment to living a sustainable lifestyles in the long run in your life or in others people, maybe others people, like I really want to do like the sustainable lifestyles, but it's hard, and I think it's also hard to keep the commitment. How do you deal with this?
I think at the end of the day, just take it easy. Don't think too much, and just do it. and just take it day by day. I mean, I don't really talk like, oh, in the long run we're gonna do this, 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 this. No, I mean, like, just take it day by day,
Mm-hmm.
and always actively look around that things that you can improve on daily basis, in like I said, the key is always like learning continually to learn more. So I think what you really need to have is the urge and the curiosity to keep learning.
Yeah.
And you're the only one who knows how to do that. And it's okay to be lazy at sometimes, or you don't feel like doing anything, or no, I just want to watch Netflix, whatever. I mean, it's fine, and it's human nature to be bored sometimes, or to be lazy, or to be tired. But I think it's you're the one who knew yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is just to keep um, yourself curious about the things that you can do, and not taking it for granted. So I think that's the most important key, and the rest of it, I don't think you need to think too much
Mm-hmm.
about it, and just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So many of my friends, like I always brings my own tumblers or my bags whenever I go, and I really refuse to get a like one single use straw or something, and they would say like, oh, you just a lot of things, you have a lot of things to do, and it's just complicated from them, and it's really hard to change those kind of perspective. It's easy for me, I just refuse it because I don't need that. But how do you think about this kind of issue? Maybe you can have any input for me.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, like, when I first started Cleanomic, one of the most asked questions that I got is, how do you deal with people who is nyinyir, ya? Like,
Yeah.
kalau dinyinyirin orang tuh gimana sih, Kak? Gitu, kayak sering banget. And that was like, how do you deal with people who like talk down on you because what you're doing?
Yep.
So that's basically the frequently asked questions.
Mhm.
And it's really funny, and because when I think about it, yeah, my question is always remain my response is always remain the same. If you truly believe that you are doing something good,
Mhm.
which is reducing your waste,
Mhm.
reducing your waste is if you see it from from a lot of different perspective, it's always a good thing. Like, morally it's good, legally it's good. According to the law, you actually required to reduce your waste and manage your waste. And from religious point of view, it's also the right thing to do. So
Yeah.
if you truly believe that what you're doing is the right thing, which is it is,
Yep.
then you don't need to worry about anything, and people will always talk, and it's just talks,
Mhm.
like, um there's nothing harm in that. And just let those whisper or noises pass you by, because if you truly believe that, you need to believe that this is the right thing to do, which it is. So the rest is doesn't really matter. And I think, with consistency, I would believe that this is would be something like the new normal, right?
Yeah.
When I started Cleanomic in 2018, a lot of people like feel weird, like, what are you
Mhm.
talking about? Like, sounds complicated. But then, like, look at us now, like, this community like grow bigger, and then I think it's also important to surround yourself with people who support you,
Yep.
and again, like influencing other people to believe in something is like the most difficult part. But uh, but when you're there, it it feels great.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'm doing nothing for what I doing something for what I believe. And yeah, um come to the next questions, like what would the people will get after as a feedback after living in a sustainable life.
Well,
Hmm.
I'm currently writing a book,
Yeah.
and we will soon launch this book in March. And the title of the book is Hemat Sampah Pangkal Kaya. So you can actually gain financial benefit by
Hmm.
actually reducing your waste, and be mindful about your purchases.
Hmm.
And one of the simple thing that I can show you here,
Yep.
like using solar panel,
Hmm.
it's actually cut down my electricity bill by almost 40-50%.
Hmm.
So with implementing this sustainable lifestyle by not fully dependent on fossil fuel electricity
Yep.
provided by our national electricity company, or PLN, and
Hmm.
by actually using the solar panels and become like partly independent power producers in and producing our own electricity at our house in a sustainable way, we actually be able to save our electricity bill by 40 to 50%. So, and also comparing to my previous lifestyles, like I would, like when I first start working, I would probably spend like 60% of my salary buying stuff like
Yep.
shoes, bags, clothing.
Hmm.
And when I stopped doing that, you can imagine how much money that I could actually spend from that. And then these days, there's actually a few, like we already have like options to do green investment.
Yeah.
So I did like I made a content about green investment that is available in Indonesia, and those like actually, you can save those money that you actually save from being mindful of your purchases, means that you only buy things that you truly thinks that it's essentials to your life,
Hmm.
and you buy it from the people who care for the environment, hence the Juan Lestari entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You can then invest those money in investments that also support the sustainability and
Hmm.
economy, and green economy, and then you also gain something from your investment portfolio. So there's actually a lot of financial benefits in living a sustainable lifestyles, which I'm actually talking about that in our upcoming book.
Oh, cool. Really, I'm really excited to hear the next news about the books. So yeah, how is that to influence and share the awareness to other people, but also to also doing and start to live a sustainable lifestyle, especially for the people who live around us, like our family or even our friends. How do you think about that? Mm-hmm.
I think the only way I think it's possible in doing that is just by leading by examples. So by showing them the way, showing them how we do things
Mm-hmm.
consistently, and then show them that there's actually a benefit in doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and show them, and then um, uh, show them that it is important to doing this. That's the only way to do it for me, I think, and I think that what works for me and my family. It's not perfect. I mean, it's still like work in progress,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's the way I can see myself progressing in my attempt to like influence the people in my house at least, and then also like showing them like little clips here and there, and taking them to, hey, this is like a really nice documentaries on Netflix, you might be interested to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they will watch it, maybe they're not, but I mean, at least you kind of like actively mention those ideas consistently, and I think one day I believe that it will sink in in their mind.
Ya, cool. So, oke, sekarang kita sampai di akhir nih Kak. Kita mungkin untuk closing statement bakal pakai bahasa Indonesia. Terakhir, tolong nih kasih sedikit closing statement ataupun pesan Kakak untuk pendengar Green Radio Line dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, dengan pertama mungkin memperkenalkan diri dan sampaikan pesannya.
Oke. Hai pendengar Green Radio Riau, Green Radio Riau Indonesia kan ya?
Green
Apa
Radio
sih, boleh
Line.
diulang nggak tadi? Green
Radio Line.
Green Radio Line Riau.
Ya, benar.
Ya. Oke. Hai pendengar Green Radio Line Riau, aku Denia, founder dan CEO-nya Cleanomic. Cleanomic adalah sebuah social media platform yang banyak ngebahas tentang hidup lestari dan cuan lestari, dan aku pengen ngajak kalian untuk mulai peduli terhadap isu-isu lingkungan, karena sebenarnya banyak banget yang bisa kalian lakukan. And you can actually start, kamu bisa memulai dengan cara follow akun-akun yang ngasih konten faedah yang banyak ngebahas tentang isu masalah dan cerita-cerita tentang kehidupan lestari dan sustainable lifestyle gitu. Karena aku percaya banget kalau kamu nggak tahu, kamu nggak akan peduli. Kalau kamu nggak peduli, kamu nggak akan berubah. So, mulai dari follow akun-akun konten berfaedah. Dari situ kamu akan belajar banyak dan kamu akan tahu lebih banyak tentang banyak hal ternyata sebenarnya yang bisa kita lakukan untuk memperbaiki dan preservasi lingkungan kita untuk masa depan.
Yeah, cool. So, thank you so much for the time. Terima kasih banyak untuk waktunya, and you do inspire a lot of people, and that's really amazing. Dan ya, terima kasih banyak Kak. Mungkin sampai berjumpa di lain kesempatan. Stay healthy and keep inspire people.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Saat ini, Anda sedang mendengarkan Radio Era Baru. Green Radio Line, Beyond the Limit.